What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So I want to continue this series talking about the speaker, the new speaker, because more videos are coming out now of him talking about Social Security and Medicare. And so I want to talk about this video. We're going to watch the video first, and then I'm going to show you an illustration, and we're going to go over all of this. When it comes to Social Security, Mike Johnson, for a very, very long time, has wanted to cut Social Security, and he hasn't been able to do it. However, now as speaker, he controls the floor, which means he can bring whatever bill he wants to bring to the floor. So this is a very crucial time for Social Security and Medicare, because now he has the power to bring whatever bill he wants to the floor and vote on that bill. And so we could see some changes to Social Security as a result of this. Now, we could see them pass it in the House, but most likely it's not going to pass the Senate unless the House holds something hostage. So the speaker can hold something hostage. Just like Speaker McCarthy did back in June, Speaker Johnson can do that now to try to get his way. So we're just going to have to see where it goes when it comes to that. I'm going to show you the clip, and then we'll talk a little bit about it. But first off, if you guys can do me a favor, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that little bell notification, and then click all. By clicking all, you'll get notified anytime we post a video. We do daily videos here, so by clicking the bell notification and clicking all, you should be getting updated every day. And just a reminder, thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. And if you'd like to follow me on Twitter and Threads, you can at the TEC Show Live. Okay, let's go ahead and play the clip first.
More of that for long. And we'll have to enact some of these ideas soon. In the next Congress, we believe we'll have a chance to do that, because if you look at just the objective numbers and the estimates, the Congressional Budget Office, the CBO, as you know, is a nonpartisan group that scores all of this, and they project that, and Heritage has shared some of these numbers in their own estimates, but if you just look at the four major expenditures of the federal government, if you look at Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, interest on the debt, all of these expenditures, it eclipses gross domestic product in just about a dozen years. Is that one of the?
All right, it's not near as far off as it used to be.
We can't kick this can down the road any further.
Yeah.
We don't have another generation. We don't have 20 years. We don't even have 10 years. This has to start yesterday. And that's why we're urging this difficult conversation to make everyone face.
Okay, so you saw he said we need to start yesterday. So they want to make cuts as soon as possible. Now, this video was posted in 2019, and he was talking about back in 2019, he thinks that they'll have the numbers that they need in order to move forward with some type of reform for Social Security. Now, when I say reform for Social Security, I'm talking about cuts to Social Security. That's what they're talking about. You have other lawmakers out there that are talking about reforms for Social Security, but they're actually talking about improving the program, prolonging the program. But Speaker Johnson is actually talking about cutting the program. Okay, I want to show you this illustration because he talked about two things that I want to touch on today. He talked about the national debt. So he talked about the interest on the national debt. And he talked about Social Security. Now, he also talked about Medicare and Medicaid. I'll talk briefly about that at the end of this video. But when it comes to Social Security and the national debt, are they the same thing, or the interest on the debt? So we're not talking about the whole national debt. We're just talking about the interest on the debt. Are they the same thing? Are they the same expenditure? Does the money come from the same place? And the answer is no. The money doesn't come from the same place. So why are you putting them both together? Well, I can tell you that Speaker Johnson is most likely putting the two together because he wants to show you that Social Security, he wants to try to prove that Social Security is adding to the national debt when it's not. And we know this. If you do any research, you'll find that out. But he is still trying to tie them together. So let's look at this. Our current national debt is $33.64 trillion. Okay. Now, when we're looking at the interest on the national debt, this will blow your mind. In 2022, the federal government spent $476 billion on net interest costs on the national debt. That total, which grew by 35% from $352 billion in 2021, was the largest amount ever spent on interest in the budget and equaled nearly 2% of the gross domestic product. So just the interest on the debt, it's like a credit card. You spend on your credit card, and let's say you're going to pay that minimum balance, or you're just going to pay the interest. That's all we're doing. We're not even paying down the debt, and the debt will continue to increase because we have $476 billion that we need to pay just on the interest every year. It's a huge problem. I would agree. Now, let's look a little bit further. When it comes to Social Security, what is Social Security adding to our debt? Are we borrowing money in order to pay Social Security benefits? Social Security cannot add to long-term deficits, because it is prohibited from borrowing, okay? Social Security cannot borrow money, and that's the key. The money is coming from the payroll tax, and then the leftover, the 23%, is coming from the trust funds. Even if we assume Congress can turn to general revenue to pay promised benefits when the trust funds run out, this would only increase the 75-year budget deficit by 4 to 7% per year on average. Okay, so if we got to a situation, and let's hope we don't get to this situation, but if we got to a situation 10 years down the road, Congress is still trying to figure out what they're going to do with Social Security and how to reform Social Security, and they don't do anything, and then we start seeing a cut of 23%, what will most likely happen is Congress is going to have to step up and say, okay, we're going to have to take some money from the general fund in order to pay benefits so people can get their 100% of their benefits and not see that 23% cut. So when we're looking at the interest on the debt and we're looking at Social Security, they are separate. We're not borrowing to pay Social Security. Social Security is coming from the payroll tax. We are borrowing money, in essence, to pay the interest on our debt. Now, another thing, when it comes to Medicare and Medicaid, I'm just briefly going to go over this, but when it comes to those two programs, the reason why we're struggling to make payments on those programs is because the cost of healthcare is way too expensive. We need to address that. That is a problem. Prescription medication, just going to the doctor, all the money that we're paying for Medicare is coming because of greed. You have everyone out there with their hands in the pot trying to get as much money out of Medicare as they can. And that is crushing the program. So until we start negotiating prescription drug prices like we're doing now, but it's only, 10 medications, when they can do that across the board, when they can negotiate when it comes to just the cost of Medicare and healthcare overall, we're going to have a problem. And so, and I say this all the time because I travel, I go to other countries, and I see the cost of their healthcare, and it's much less. And they're giving you some of the same benefits that you would get on Medicare, but they're not charging you half as much. Why is that? A lot of the technologies that are all over the world are coming from the US, but when you go to another country, it's cheaper. It doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't make any sense. And so until we address that problem, and like I said, that's greed. That's these pharmaceutical companies and these healthcare companies that are in the pocket of lawmakers, and the lawmakers don't want to do anything about it because they're benefiting from it. But the American people, we're not benefiting from it, and it's destroying Medicare. So that's something that needs to be addressed. And so until we have the right lawmakers in place that won't take money from these pharmaceutical companies and things like that, then we'll be better off. But until then, we're going to still struggle. And until then, you're going to have the price gouging when it comes to healthcare. And so this is just yet another clip of Speaker Johnson talking about doing something with Social Security, doing something with Medicare. And we'll have to see if they put something forward, because he has the power to do that now. We'll have to see if they have a bill that they put forward. Now, it's going to be very interesting because we're in election season. Is he going to put anything forward now in an election season, or is he going to wait until after the election, if he's still the speaker after the election? But we know one thing. We know how he feels about the programs, and we know that eventually he wants to bring something forward to reform those programs or cut those programs. But we're just going to have to stay tuned and see what happens. If you guys have any questions, let me know down below. I want to know what you guys think about this whole situation with Speaker Johnson. Do you think he will put something forward in the next year when it comes to cuts to Social Security? Let me know down below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.